And I remember looking at that medicine cabinet and just throwing it all away. Just throwing it all away. I was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to heal my skin naturally. So, you know when you're a teenager and you're breaking out and it's horrible and you don't know what to do and you have all this oily skin and the adults around you are like, just wait. Because when you become an adult, you're not going to have to deal with any of this ever again. And it's like the one thing that you hold on to, or actually it was the one thing that I held on to when it came to my skin, and people said, oh, how oily it is, that's going to help you, and all of this stuff. So imagine my surprise when I became an adult and around the age of 32, I started breaking out worse than I ever had in my life. Like, ever had in my life. I mean, I'm talking cystic acne all around here, all on my neck, on my back, and not really understanding what was going on and going to doctors and trying to see what we could do about it. And of course, they prescribed all the things, gave me all the topicals, and for reasons that we're going to get into, I let go of the oral prescriptions, but I did keep the topicals, and they worked for a little while until they didn't. And I still remember standing in my tiny flat kitchen in London over my makeshift medicine cabinet and looking at all of this stuff that my doctors prescribed to get me through basically my year-long master's program, and just throwing it away, because I really decided, and that's the perfect time for the siren to go by, but it is, because that was a wake-up call for me. I really decided I'm about to heal this by myself. Like, I don't want to be chained to prescriptions and to medications to heal my skin. And that's exactly what I did, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. So my first brush with healing my acne naturally happened when I was 25. So I did not have near the breakouts that I did when I was in my teen years, but I was still breaking out. And I remember on Oprah, actually I was younger than 25. I was probably closer to 23 or 24. But I remember on Oprah, she featured Dr. Perricone and his book, The Perricone Prescription. And The Perricone Prescription was all about getting glowing skin naturally. And I bought that book and I did everything that he said. And it worked. Basically, it's the Mediterranean diet, but he also talks about supplements, like, what was the big one? The big one was omega-3 fish oil. So I started supplementing with fish oil, and I remember there was like a 3-day detox, or maybe a 5-day detox. And I did that detox, and let me tell you, my skin started, by the end of that 3 days, I had seen a difference. And by the end of the 30-day plan, my skin was glowing. It looked amazing. And as a matter of fact, the Mediterranean diet is pretty much how I eat to this day, although I'm doing something a little different now. But that's pretty much how I eat to this day. So afterwards, I pretty much went back to what I was doing. So I still kept the Mediterranean diet. I didn't, like, one of the just awful things that I would do before I did the Perricone plan, the Perricone prescription. I don't remember if it was the prescription or plan, but I read both of the books. But one of the things that I did before that is I would have two pump grande soy chai lattes every day. I had no idea what that was doing to my skin. The amount of sugar and the soy, what it was doing to my hormones, conventional soy milk, but I didn't know, so I was doing it. So afterwards, I didn't go back to, 2 pump soy chai lattes, extra hot, and I would get them extra hot every day. I didn't go back to that. But, you know, I would treat myself. So I feel like I would treat myself to maybe one every other day, you know, and I would drink. And so I would like, you know, drink when I went out with friends and different things. So I would still have breakouts, but nowhere near what they were. So nowhere near like going into the plan. And so I just felt like I could manage it, and I did. And if I had like something coming up, like a photo shoot or any kind of shoot, I would just be mindful of it. You know, I just kind of was able to manage it in that way. Fast forward 5 years, maybe 5 to 8 years in my early 30s, so around 30, 31, 32. My skin went haywire. I mean, it just started breaking out in ways that I'd never seen before. And before, like when I was 25, I was dealing with kind of that blackhead and whitehead type thing that's still very frustrating. But this time it was cystic. And it was like all around here. It was on my neck. I would get it on my chest. It would, I hit that microphone there, so let me do that again. It was all around here. It was on my neck. I would get it on my chest. It was all on my back. And I just had no idea what was going on. At the same time, my periods were awful. My cycle was just going haywire, like very, very heavy bleeding, just no energy, extreme cramping. And I had no idea what was going on. So I went to the doctor, and it turned out that I needed fibroid surgery. To prepare for the surgery, I had to take the Lupron shot. And what the Lupron shot does is it shuts down your estrogen, which in turn can shrink your fibroid. So they're smaller by the time it gets to your surgery. And I don't think that they do that anymore, but that was something that they did then. At the same time, I was going to a dermatologist about my skin, and the dermatologist put me on Tretinoin and Skinceuticals Age Defense Salicylic Acid and Spironolactone. And the thing with the first two were topical. Spironolactone, that is taken orally, it's a pill. But the reason why spironolactone works is because one of the things it does is suppresses your testosterone. I was just completely uncomfortable with my estrogen and my testosterone being suppressed. And I went to my gynecologist, and I said, you know, I'm taking, my dermatologist has me on this, it's suppressing my testosterone. This Lupron shot, which I already had, is suppressing my estrogen. You know, what's going to happen? Like, what do I do? How do those affect each other? And she was like, no, you'll be fine. You should be fine. They shouldn't affect each other. Still, I wasn't comfortable. And so I took myself off the spironolactone. So I took myself off of the acne medication, but I still did the topicals, and they worked. They worked pretty much. I mean, as long as I was using them, they worked. Like I said, it would be my neck, my chest, my back, everything. If I wasn't using it, it wouldn't work. So if I was just using it on my face, but I still had whatever was going on with my back would break out. But again, I felt like it was manageable. But because I had been so shocked by needing surgery for this thing that I had no idea that I had, or no idea was a thing, I started looking into healing my hormones naturally. And that was the first time I found Alisa Vitti. Alisa Vitti had a website called FloLiving, and she was on a podcast, and she talked about hormonal imbalancing in women and cycle syncing. And I listened to every podcast that she was on, and I read her blog, her business site, FloLiving, and I just kind of started to do what she said. One of the first things I did was I went all organic, and I changed over my products to free and clear and toxic free. So those were the first two things that I did while I was like figuring it out. So I still, I didn't stop drinking. I didn't stop going out. I kind of cut down my sugar, but I would say that that was my baby step into hormonal healing my acne. And, once the surgery was over and the Lupron was out of my system, at first I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm kind of back to being able to manage this again. And so I was happy again. But I was still having a lot of caffeine. I did not have a great sleep cycle. And there were just a lot of things that could be improved. But like I said, that was like me sticking my toe into natural healing. Fast forward one more year and I'm living in London at my master's program. And that is when all hell broke loose. So my skin was breaking out erratically. I couldn't control it. On top of that, I had brutal insomnia. I would get night sweats that would just, they broke me. Like they almost broke me. I would go to sleep at like 10:30, like get in bed, would be sitting there wide-eyed. Somehow would drift to sleep around 12:30, would wake up with like a soaking wet night sweat at around 3:30 in the morning. That would keep me up like, so now I'm back up again. So I would be up until like 5 o'clock. Then I would drift back to sleep only to have my alarm go off at 7 because I had to be in class by 8:30. So oh man, that was one of the hardest things that I've ever have to deal with. That insomnia, those night sweats, the frustration, the breaking out, not knowing what was going on. And I still remember standing in that tiny London flat kitchen over my makeshift medicine cabinet where I had all of my dermatologists had pretty much just prescribed me enough to get me through my master's program. So prescribed me like a year's worth of prescriptions. And I remember looking at that medicine cabinet and just throwing it all away. Just throwing it all away. I was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to heal my skin naturally. I should be able to heal my skin naturally, and I'm going to do it. And that's what started me on this. That's when I got serious and I was like, whatever it takes, that's what I'm going to do. And one of the things that I knew that I needed was professional help. So I got a health coach. Alisa Vitti's book had just came out, I think, Women Code. I bought her book. And I just started to do everything in that book. I just really started to learn. I remember she had a program that came out. I bought the program and I just started to learn. And from that point, clearing my hormonal acne really came down to 5 things. And to get into the 5 things I did to clear up my hormonal acne naturally, let's go ahead and look at a blog post from FloLiving.com, which is Alisa Vitti's site. Article: Why You Have Adult Acne. The real deal behind hormonal acne. If you're a grown-up combating skin issues, you have to know what you're actually up against: an endocrine imbalance. If you're like most women who get hormonal acne, then you probably notice pimples crop up around ovulation, mid-cycle, and or right before your period. This isn't a coincidence. These are the 2 points in your hormonal cycle when estrogen and testosterone are peaking, and if your body isn't processing these hormones correctly, eliminating the excess and detoxifying your system, that extra estrogen and testosterone accumulates and results in acne. This happens in 2 ways. The excess estrogen causes estrogen dominance and skin inflammation, and the excess testosterone play on your sebaceous glands to produce more oil. So let me break in here and say, you may just be thinking that your breakouts are happening randomly and it doesn't seem like they're happening at the same time, but pay attention to if they're happening in the second half of your cycle. So meaning about 1 to 2 weeks before your period. Other clues if it's hormonal acne is that instead of being like whiteheads and blackheads, it's actually deep cystic breakouts that are happening like along your jawline and chin. Now, when I was dealing with hormonal acne, like I said, it was also my neck, it was my back, it was different places. It was like my cheeks, my cheekbones. So it doesn't have to only be in those areas, but those are some telltale signs. All right, back to Alisa. Elimination is key. We often forget that our skin is our biggest organ of elimination. It works within a system that includes your liver, lymphatic system, and large intestine. And because these organs all act as one unit, they can't be separated when it comes to treating the root cause of acne. Everything you put into your body, from the food you eat to the products you use on your hair and skin, to the substances you use to clean your house, must be eliminated properly. If they're not, then these chemicals that mimic estrogen will stay in your body and circulate. And if all of your elimination organs aren't working optimally, then the leftover circulating toxins will show up on your face as acne and result in other unpleasant symptoms like PMS. It's as simple as that. So when she breaks it down like that, it's like very, very clear. She's really great. I highly recommend, if you don't know who she is, looking into her site. She's on tons of podcasts. She's done a lot of interviews, so check her out. But with what she said, one of the very first things that I did to heal my hormonal acne naturally is I went clean. I completely changed up the products I use to be toxic free or free and clear. So that was my makeup, my skincare, my body products, and everything that I cleaned my house with. And if there were some things that in my house that were not toxic free, like I tend to keep a bleach cleaner, I always use gloves. Always use gloves when dealing with it. And I'm still trying to find like a free and clear cleaner that's as strong as bleach, but yeah, always use gloves. Now, I know that this can be expensive to just toss everything out and start over, so here is what I would recommend for you. As you run out of stuff, just buy the toxic-free alternative. So like, go ahead and finish off with your face cleanser, and then when it's time to get something new, go and get a clean new cleaner. You know, same with your mascara, same with your foundation, everything. And there are actually stores that can really help you with this. Credo Beauty, that is my place. I love it. They really help me turn over all of my makeup and my skincare products to clean beauty and toxic free products, and they can help you too. So I would recommend Credo and a place like Detox Market. Sephora is great too, but they do have, you know, clean beauty options, but they may not be as skilled at really educating you on switching your products over and why you should go clean beauty and some clean beauty like alternatives for different ingredients you may like in your product. So that's why I highly recommend Credo Beauty or the Detox Market. Now, I'm doing another video on why you should start a clean beauty routine and how, so I'll go into more depth there. But for now, let me go into the second thing that I did to clear my hormonal acne. I went completely organic when I could. Back to Alisa, and this is from the book Woman Code. There's a lot of confusion about how much of an impact eating organic has on our health. A recent study by Stanford University showed that, in fact, the nutritional values of organic foods are nearly identical to those that are commercially produced. Commercially produced means with pesticides. Of course, this makes sense. An apple is an apple and a broccoli is a broccoli, no matter how you grow it. And it is extremely logical that the nutrient content, calories and vitamin content would be the same. However, what is most definitely not the same is what you're getting in addition to that commercially grown apple or broccoli that you're eating. These foods contain pesticides, organophosphates, and other farming chemicals that wreak havoc on your delicate endocrine system, congesting your liver, acting like estrogen in your body, this is often referred to as xenoestrogens, and confusing the hormonal conversation your body needs to have to create balance and avoid symptoms and disease. So for me, I wanted to cut down on as many pesticides, organophosphates, and farming chemicals whenever I could. So I went organic literally whenever I could. One thing Alisa talks about a lot, which I love, is the 80-20 rule. Like, look, girl, if you're doing 80% organic, that other 20%, you don't have to worry about that much. 3, I eliminated inflammatory food. So let's take it back to Alisa. When your liver and large intestines are working at a subpar level, your skin steps up and tries to eliminate the toxins, resulting in skin inflammation and acne. The solution? To speed up your healing, reduce or eliminate the following foods from your diet as best you can: dairy, peanuts, soy, canola, sunflower, safflower, and vegetable oil, caffeine, gluten. So I eliminated dairy, soy, all of the oils, gluten, sugar, and caffeine, and alcohol. Did I say alcohol? Yeah, I also eliminated alcohol. Number 4, I increased my hydration with higher quality water. So I switched to pretty much only drinking out of glass bottles whenever I could. Glass bottles, stainless steel bottles, boxed bottles, but I really prefer glass. And the reason why I avoid plastic bottles is because they can contain endocrine disrupting xenoestrogens, including BPA, that can be leached from the bottle into the water. Here are some findings from the NIH, which is the National Institute of Health, on plastic bottles. Well, actually it's on plastic containers, period. This is called Endocrine Disruptors in Bottled Mineral Water: Total Estrogenic Burden and Migration from Plastic Bottles. So here are 2 takeaways. Our results demonstrate a widespread contamination of mineral water with xenoestrogens that partly originates from compounds leaching from the plastic packaging material. Overall, the results indicate a broader range of foodstuff may be contaminated with endocrine disruptors when packed in plastics. So I try not to drink out of plastic. And the second part of this is that I started to make sure that I drank, or did my best to drink, 2 liters of water every day. And this was just to stay hydrated, and hydration helps improve your hormonal balance. And remember, things like alcohol dehydrate you. And finally, number 5, I improved my sleep hygiene. Now, I'm doing a whole video on how I healed my hormonal sleep issues, but for now, enough to say I started to prioritize optimal sleep. So a few things that I did to prioritize optimal sleep is that I started going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time. And at first that was very, very hard because remember, I'd just be sitting there lying down and then I'd had the night sweats and stuff, but I would get in that bed. I would get in that bed at like 10:15 and I would lay there, and I would do my best to wake up at 5:30, you know, and at first it didn't happen because I wasn't actually falling asleep and I was waking up in the middle of the night, but I kept with it, and I'm telling you, keep with it. Let's see, I started reading fiction to help calm me down and just to relax me into sleep. I would read fiction before I went to bed instead of like something nonfiction, wanting to learn something new about hormones or writing or whatever. No. I chose nonfiction reading material that just kind of soothed me into sleep. I stopped eating 2 hours before I was going to go to sleep. And so that means that my bedtime was 10:15. That means that I didn't really eat after 8 o'clock. And those things really did start to heal my sleep pattern. Like, I remember the first time that I fell asleep at midnight, but I didn't wake up. So I didn't wake up until 5:30 in the morning. Girl, you would have thought that I fell asleep at 7 and slept until 7. I mean, I was like, oh my God, yes. And I remember I went to class and one of my classmates was like, Aranetta, you look amazing. What did you do? I was like, girl, I slept. I got sleep, girl. And that was just 5 hours of sleep. And it was just, that was like one of the most exciting days of my master's program in London. So that's telling you a lot about how happy I was that day that I was actually able to get some sleep. So just doing those 5 things, I started to notice a difference within a week. I noticed a difference in my skin, and I want to say my skin was cleared by the end of the month. Now, a loving disclaimer. I know that hormonal acne differs in severity for everyone, and you know, some people may need the medication or may need the topical, or at least at first to get a hold on it. I understand that. So this is not meant to be judgmental or tell anybody what you should do. And as a matter of fact, there are 2 YouTubers whose videos I'm going to link below because they had quite severe hormonal acne, and they were able to heal theirs naturally too. But if you want to go with or look at some people who you feel like, well, you didn't really get to see what mine looks like, and you really want to look at somebody's skin to see what we're talking about here, I'm going to link theirs below. But if you feel like maybe there's something in this healing yourself naturally that's speaking to you, I do believe it is speaking to you, and this is something that you're meant to move forward and do. And if you have any questions, ask away in the comments. And if you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more wellness content. If you want to know anything else on skincare or acne, or you're just interested in anything, or you like something I did and you want more of it, or you didn't understand something, let me know in the comments. And until next time, I am wishing you well.